Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Monkey Knife Fight Show here on Sharpside. I'm Terry Ferguson. I bring you some of my favorite props over on Monkey Knife Fight. Haven't signed up for yet? Making bad life choices. Sign up using promo code Grinders. Get a free 100% deposit bonus on your first $50. It's free money. All you got to do is play through it and it is yours, and you don't even have to do any research. Just watch the videos multiple times a week, throw in these props, and let the money roll. And got 4 from you today. 2 from the Cleveland game, 2 from the Charlotte game. Before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe over on the Sharpside channel so you know exactly when these videos come out. All right, let's get to my first prop here. It's a 2 out of 2 rapid fire in the Atlanta game. All right, so this is real simple here. We have this Cleveland offense with Drummond in. We don't exactly know what's going to go on with it. Yes, he has played a little bit since he's gotten over there, but I think he's going to take a little bit of a hit. Over in Detroit, had to do everything. Griffin was gone. Rose being in the game kind of gave a little bit less of a usage rate, less work on offense. But over in Cleveland, they have Sexton, they have Garland, they have Love, all in the offense. Yes, he had a pretty decent game his first game there with Cleveland, but I don't think that he's going to do that much on the offensive end as he did over in Detroit. So going up against Young gets a matchup versus one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA, and Young is only giving up 2.5 points. I think that's a massive edge taking Young here. He's just going to crush, and doesn't even matter what Drummond does because there's a decent shot that Young ends up with 70. I'm taking Trey Young over Drummond, only giving up 2.5 points. Next up, Collins versus Love. Love is going to take a hit with Drummond in the offense. The rebounding numbers are probably going to go down. The usage rate is probably going to go down a little bit. They're still figuring out how to work with each other, and Collins is only giving up 4.5 points. I'm rolling with Collins. Yes, Love can put out a big outing at any given time. I get that it's a very good matchup for both Drummond and Love going up against Atlanta. Not a great rebounding team. Not a great team versus bigs overall defensively, but does not matter. I'm rolling with Collins, only giving up 4.5 points. All right, next up, we have my second prop. It's a 2 out of 3 rapid fire in the Atlanta game. All right, so similar to the first one, first 2 parts of the prop, the same, and I'm still rolling with the same one. There's no correlation in this prop here. So going with Young, going with Collins. Again, good matchup for both teams. Drummond and Love get a pace increase. Young and Collins get a bad defensive matchup, but I'm still rolling with Young and Collins. Last up, Sexton going up against Herter. Sexton getting a massive pace-up advantage here. Going up against Atlanta, yes, Herter's going to play a boatload of minutes and has a pretty good match versus Cleveland. But Sexton, even with Drummond there, he's still going to have a boatload of usage here. He's going to be chucking up shots, and he gets Trey Young defense, which is terrible, or he's going to get Herter defense, not great either. So this Atlanta team, big pace-up spot for Sexton. Good defensive matchup, only giving up 2.5 points. Really like Sexton over her, and the other 2 are just the same as the last prop. All right, next up, we have my third prop. It's a 2 out of 3 more or less in the Minnesota game. All right, so another team where we don't exactly know what's going to be going on. We don't have a big sample size, but that's where you can find a little bit of an edge. We got Charlotte and Minnesota. Big pace-up matchup for Charlotte. Not great matchup for Minnesota, but good matchup for Towns. Towns projected for 55.5 points. Don't care. I'm going less. I know it's the best matchup on the board for a big. I think his usage is going to take a hit with Russell in the offense, who just likes to score the ball himself. 55.5 is a pretty high number. I know that a lot of the projection systems have him close to that. Most of them are pretty far under. But I'm going with the less. It's that simple. The next part of this prop, huge edge. Graham, 33.5 projected fantasy points. I'm going more. It's not remotely close. Big pace-up matchup going up against Minnesota. He's going to crush here. It's a great spot for him. Only 33.5 is way too low of a number. You roll with Graham, and he just absolutely destroy here. Last up, Russell, more or less than 40.5. Yes, he was putting up 50-point games over in Golden State. No one else was eating up the usage. Now he goes into a spot where they have Towns, where they have a few other guys that are eating up a lot of the offense, and I think that he's going to go way on. Again, the beginning of this prop, Towns, his more or less a little bit close. The other 2 way too far off. So take the more on Graham, take the less on Russell. Both of those should hit, and chances are the less on Towns probably hits too. All right, last up, we have my last prop of the night. Before I get to that, again, don't forget to like and subscribe over on the Sharpside channel. But let's get to my last prop of the night. It's a 2 out of 3 rapid fire in the Minnesota game. All right, so Graham is getting 21.5 points for Towns. Are you kidding me? I get the Towns crushes. I get Graham's a little inconsistent, but it's an up-paced matchup. Going up against Minnesota, he is absolutely going to smash here. Getting 21.5 points, that's a massive, massive line. I don't care what he's done recently, which he can put up 50 points in any game. 21.5, huge number. I'm rolling with him. Next up, Rozier versus Russell. Rozier is going to get the minutes. Rozier is probably going to get a decent amount of usage, and Rozier is getting 9.5 points. Again, Russell in this offense probably not going to have nearly the usage he had over in Golden State, while Rozier is getting a pace-up spot. I know he hasn't done well recently, but he's still playing mid-30s minutes. This game projected to be fairly close. So if it stays close, Rozier's going to get the minutes. He should get a decent amount of usage, and he should get less than 9.5 points. Yes, I know that's a weird sentence, but Rozier, easy choice here. Last up, Washington versus Bridges. Bridges been averaging over 30 points the last 5, 6, 7 games, and Washington been right around 15 points. I know they'll probably need a little bit more size in this matchup, but I don't care. Washington is not going to come close to what Bridges is up doing in this high up-pace match. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back again next week. Enjoy your All-Star break. I know I will. It'll be nice to have a little bit of time off, but I'll be right back to it next week, right when we come back. So I'm out of here. See you, kids.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist.
Good evening, Grinders. Hey, welcome to Grinderslive. You normally don't see me on this show, right? This is the first time that I'm actually hosting the 520 Grinders Live show here on YouTube. I'm here with Kyle Murray, who this is a good booth that we're doing for tonight's huge 11-game NBA DFS slate. I'm primarily a GPP player on DraftKings. Kyle's primarily a GPP player on FanDuel. So I think we're going to have some interesting, productive conversation about GPP strategies that could wildly differ from site to site. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. I think it's a good slate though. Last full slate before All-Star break. I think we got 11 games. We only have 2 tomorrow. So good to get all the action on one day. And it's definitely a good slate to end the, I guess the first half of the year on.
Well, we got a 2-game slate tomorrow. We could. We're all degenerates, right? It's going to be the 2-game slate showdowns, and then it's XFL, and then is there a hockey going on? It's going to end up being like that.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Okay. So, as usual, I don't have any coffee. That's the morning. I'm drinking healthier now. I have citrus sea monster. Okay. I too much coffee, cigarettes. I got to do something healthy. So in order to keep this drink cold, you got to hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, make comments. Just take your mouse and just click around on YouTube. It probably does something. And if we get up to 250 likes, little thumbs up, crunch time tonight with Andy Means, Kevin Roth, JSU. It's our premium show heading up into lock. You get it for nothing here on YouTube. We got people in the YouTube chat, right? Everyone's here. Yes, man, the Bragman Mania, Dude Manfa. We got all these YouTube people. Feel free to post your comments in the chat. But I want to give a special shout out, though. Special shout out. And I don't give many special shout outs. You know that. I pretty much hate people. But these people I like, these 5 people, I know them as usernames. And they're the most recent people to change their avatar and their badge on DFS sites to the RG logo. And if you come in like one of the top spots in the GPP contest, like you get premium for a month if you do that. To me, to me personally, it sounds like a self-fulfilling type of thing. It's like, oh, now that you did well, here's premium. But typically it should be the other way around. But whatever, that's what we do. Okay, so those people are D-Truck, D-T-R-C-K. I'm assuming it's D-Truck and they just forgot the vowels or they didn't buy a vowel or something like that. J Utah. So I'm assuming they're from Salt Lake City or somewhere around there. J Utah, unless it's J Utah. It could be that. Subhasis 036. I don't know what that means. Subhasis. It seems like it's a bad word, but maybe it's a good one. W257, which is someone that may have just banged their head against the keyboard, and those are the first 4 keys that came out. Hey, anyone can come up with a username any way they want. And Mengler with 3 R's. Because Mengler was taken, and then even Mengler was taken. So I guess that's how they came up with that one. Unless it's Mengel ERR or so, I don't know. Thanks for changing your badge to the RG badge promo. And if you're not going to do that, because I don't know why you wouldn't, you got to hit the thumbs up button, right? You keep a thumbs, you keep my cold drink, right? We all win GPPs, right? If you want to win a GPP tonight, you hit the thumbs up button. And you know what the GPP you want to win the most? The FanDuel single entry series. You got to go on FanDuel. I think did I actually enter? I forgot if I actually entered today. I may have, and I forgot that I will enter. I just wanted to make sure to see if I even had a lineup on FanDuel, because sometimes I just forget, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm playing Kevin Love even though he's out or something in my lineup. But if you go on FanDuel, I believe it's $5 today, $3, $5. It's one of it's a low stakes one. It's 5.
Yep.
Okay, you go there. And if you come up in the top of the leaderboard on a given week, you get into the online final where the winner could win a 5-figure sum. I don't know exactly what it is. It's low rake. It's for Rotogrinders. You change your badge there. Now you get a different. Now you get to get premium. You can win that. So I've been participating in it. I'm assuming Kyle has been. So go over there.
Yeah, I got like 600 last week, so I got to improve on that a bit. But I mean, even if you don't end up getting to the top of the leaderboard at the end of the week, it's some of the best contests because they're single entry and the payouts are actually pretty nice. So you get a little bit bigger of a contest because it's, promoted by Rotogrinders and whatnot, and people like to play it. And it's single entry, so you get to play bigger tournaments with single entry. So it's fun. So it's definitely a good contest to get into.
Okay, so now that all that's taken care of, and you're liking and subscribing to the video. Let's break down it's an 11-game slate. We're not going to go game by game. We're not going to go position by position. We're talking about general, primarily GPP strategy. You want to play cash games, play the, play the Czech Diallos, play the Eric Bledsoes, play all the bucks on FanDuel because apparently they just don't like pricing these people up. We're thinking more in terms of binking a large field GPP or even like a smaller mid-stakes or high-stakes GPP. What would you consider The biggest, I always start with, I know Dean does body parts, but I don't want to list like everything, especially in an 11-game slate. The most important things as far as who's in, who's out, that are going to basically make certain players' prices inefficient. I think the first one we got earlier today is Ayton is out. Diallo, who they did price on DK up to at 5K, but we have him projected for 33 minutes. But you also have to realize that they just signed Jonah Bolden to a 10-day contract, so he may get some minutes. So what are your thoughts on Check Diallo and the Suns with Ayton's usage gone, as well as other things on this slate? Because we just got word that Love is out. What are the most pressing injury and in-out situations that we need to take advantage of?
Yeah, obviously the Giannis news is big, but everyone kind of gets the gist of how we should adjust to that news. Ayton being out is definitely big for a guy like Diallo. He played 39 minutes in that last game after Ayton was ruled out. They did sign Bolden. I had Diallo projected for 38 minutes. It was like 37 actually, and then once they signed Bolden, I bumped him down to 33. So I think he's still going to play a ton of minutes. So obviously he's probably the free square of the day on FanDuel. So I think he's still a good play on DraftKings. I'm interested to see what his ownership ends up being, considering they did price him up a little bit. As far as the other injuries, I think a guy like Kevon Looney could be a sneaky injury. It's in the same Phoenix Golden State game. I think he's been playing around 15 minutes. Possibly get a few more minutes to a guy like Marquise Chris, who's been playing pretty solid basketball as of late. I think it's a sneaky tournament play. I like Marquise Chris quite a bit. As far as some other injuries, I think you mentioned the big one that we just heard of, Kevin Love. Larry Nance can slide into the starting rotation. Obviously, he's a pretty good permanent guy as well. Should play around, I would guess, 30 minutes. The only way that changes is if they decide to play Tristan Thompson and Drummond alongside each other, which I don't see that happening. If it happens, I don't think it'll go well. That would be a extremely, I guess, big but very slow, front court for the Cavs there. So I think those are the main three big injuries. Mike Conley's an injury. We just got news of that about a half hour ago that he's been ruled out. I wrote up in the expert survey that Jordan Clarkson has been playing extremely well, especially when Conley sits. Obviously, we've seen him have quite a few big games, but the usage has been up around 25%, over 1 point per minute in terms of fantasy points for Clarkson. So I like him a pretty good amount. I think he's a pretty sneaky play. I think there's going to be a lot of value that is well known and it's going to be pretty popular, but there are going to be some value guys, especially on FanDuel, that are going overlooked. And on a day like today, you can essentially construct your lineup any way you want on FanDuel because of how the pricings are. So it's very easy to get contrarian.
One of the other big news items that we need to find out, which we may find out in about 2 minutes when the next official injury report comes out, is the status of Serge Ibaka. I think especially on both sites. He's power forward eligible on FanDuel, center eligible on DraftKings. The matchup against Brooklyn is good. If he's in, he's going to be chalky. And then if he's not in, we still have like RHJ, who could easily just slide in as chalky also. He was out for flu-like symptoms, so it's not the type of injury where he's physically disabled. He wouldn't be on a minutes limit or anything if he plays. So with that game, the Toronto game is like 7:30 game. I think we'll know. Even if it's still listed as questionable on the injury report in a minute or two. I think it's the type of thing that we'll know before lock. It may not be much before lock, but to me, it's an injury type of situation that matters because it actually affects. I want to play Ibaka, and if I don't play Ibaka, I want to play the other guys if he's not in. So this is not the type of situation where if I'm massively multi-entering that it doesn't affect many lineups. This could be the type of thing at 655 where I'm in lineup HQ going, get Ibaka out or get RHJ in and get these guys in. And then on FanDuel, if you don't have the news before 7, do you think on an 11-game slate it's worth it is Ibaka's upside on FanDuel worth putting him in with a potential 0 rather than there's 11 games? Don't even run with that.
Yeah, I rarely play a guy this year anyway with the risk of having a 0 there. There's just, your score needs to be so much higher than everyone else's to, win a tournament. You can't really have any holes in your lineups. And obviously with how competitive NBA DFS has been this year, I haven't found myself taking a shot on that. What I'll do is I'll take a shot on a guy. So for that case, let's say, maybe a guy like Hollis Jefferson who might get in there for mid 20s minutes or maybe low 20s minutes if Ibaka plays, but maybe he'll be lower owned because that news isn't there. And then if Ibaka sits, he's obviously one of the top value plays on the slate. So that's kind of how I approach those situations. I don't think I would feel the need to take a shot on Ibaka there. I think for FanDuel, power forward is actually a really good spot for value. Obviously, you have Diallo, who 3,700 on FanDuel. You have Larry Nance, who's 4,500 on FanDuel. So there's a lot of good value at power forward. So I definitely don't think that would be a risk that I'd have to take.
People in the chat are talking about, let's see, about Luka news. I mean, we know that Luka's playing, right? It's just, he's likely to play, right? Okay, talking about the high end, I know, especially on FanDuel where you could play everyone. We also have the Bucks. I think that the main things that we're going to be working around are like Suns, Bucks. Like Giannis is out, so you got Bledsoe, Middleton, Ilyasova. For GPP, FanDuel didn't price these guys up, so they're going to be way more chalky on FanDuel than on DraftKings. But I think the interesting part on DraftKings specifically is that we don't really have screaming value. For an 11-game slate, when you see value is like James Johnson or something, or Cameron Johnson, or PJ Washington, or Melton, or Ingles Clarkson, those types of guys, do you think that comparatively on DraftKings that people are going to just go by what they're normally used to? Giannis is out. That means you play Bledsoe, Middleton, Ilyasova, even though on DraftKings, like Bledsoe's 7,700, Middleton's 8,800, Ilyasova's 4,800. Like they're not like cheap anymore for this situation. So do you think that their ownership will be a little bit more inflated on DraftKings? We know on FanDuel they're not, because you should be playing them. But I'm just thinking specifically on DraftKings. Do you think there's a situation where you literally don't play any Bucks?
I think it's going to depend on how you attack their ownership. I think we could actually see them come in a little bit under owned due to the price increase they do have. But I think they're still fine plays, and I don't think like Middleton, I would still be interested at that price. I'd probably be less willing to play both of those guys, Bledsoe and Middleton, together on DraftKings, where obviously their ceilings are going to be somewhat intertwined. I guess they can both get there, but maybe it's easier for one of them to get there while the other one doesn't. So I think I would just rather maybe play one of those guys. But as far as the value guys, you can play these guys together, I think. So I would probably just separate Middleton and Bledsoe on DraftKings.
Okay, because what we're seeing on DraftKings, we're going to see chalk builds. Like I typically attack GPPs by looking at what the chalk construction positionally is going to be. And I'm assuming you definitely do that on FanDuel because everyone's locked into one position anyway. So looking specifically at DraftKings, I'll talk about DraftKings. You can talk about FanDuel. Jack Diallo is power forward and center eligible. So that means he could most likely he's filling power forward spots in your lineup because we do have centers that we can play. So I'm thinking that the chalk lineup construction is going to be something like Diallo in power forward, someone like Ibaka in center, like not a high price center, maybe some Towns as the high price center. We're going to see some Booker and Bledsoe in the guard spots at kind of like a mid to high level. And then kind of rounding it out with like Oladipo, who is still on a like 28 minutes limit, but still 4,800. He could obviously still get there then. So, and then you got some Whiteside. Like I see some 2 center builds. I see some higher priced guard builds. Maybe some Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Maybe some Melton. People are going to really sour on Melton. Getting, hoping to get enough value for 22 minutes off the bench. So I think the under-owned plays, if we go just by like, let's say smash percentage, which is a premium part of our projections. You're getting kind of premium stuff here by looking at the lineup HQ and our projections here. I always take a look at like their probability of ceiling versus the ownership. And based on where people are paying up and paying down, like if people are playing Bledsoe and Booker, we have Trey Young at 10-4. at 7% owned with a 31% smash rate. We have Jamal Murray in a horrible matchup against the Lakers at 2% owned with a 30% smash rate. We have Bradley Beal against the Knicks. Probably for the context of the slate, a little, maybe you don't want to pay $9,600 for him, but we have him projected for 3% owned. So I think on DraftKings, the main way to get different is not playing Booker and then playing one of these types of guys, or not playing Bledsoe, playing Middleton maybe in a small forward spot, and then playing like a Karis LeVert or a Dinwiddie, or playing looking through down here, playing a Beal, playing a Murray. I know they're bad matchups, but they could hit their ceiling and they're low owned enough. Do you see any of those types of positional scarcity construction types of things on FanDuel?
Yeah, I think on point guard there's a little bit. Bledsoe's gonna be pretty popular. I would expect 6,700, so he pretty much locks in for the most part one of those positions. So then you got three studs up there. Trey Young, Luka, and Dame. So just based on probability, I think at least one of these guys are going to be at least going overlooked. I think Dame could be the highest owned out of the three. With Trey Young being pretty interesting. I think I have projected the highest out of all three and the highest point per dollar out of all three. So obviously he's a little bit more pricey, so he might be a little bit overlooked. I like Trey Young a lot today. But you can go down and find a guy like Colin Sexton in a really good matchup against the Hawks, he's pretty cheap. 5,800 on FanDuel is a nice price for him. Nobody's gonna play him. I don't think anybody will. I think it's gonna be Bledsoe, and then people either want to go up to the top or maybe saves a little bit more. So then that means another guy like John Morant should fall pretty overlooked as well. He's the same price as Bledsoe, so I don't think he'll have any ownership at all, really. So definitely, I think point guard, there's some spots to get some leverage or to go a little bit different. You can go up top and be a little bit different with a guy like Trey Young, who I expect he'll have some ownership, but I don't think it'll be nearly as much as a guy like Bledsoe. And I think Dame will be pretty popular as well. So point guard, I think that stands out pretty significantly. Power forward, I think if you want to spend up at power forward, you'll instantly be different, especially with the way things are shaking out. Diallo is going to be extremely popular. Larry Nance should be pretty popular as well after the Kevin Love news. So those guys should be the chalk. And then you got Ilyasova, 4,100, still affordable. And then maybe we get the RHJ news. So those are four guys that are cheap at power forward. I think will be I think that'll pretty much take up most of the ownership. So maybe going up to a guy like Sabonis or a guy like Anthony Davis could be contrarian. So that's a way to quickly get contrarian based on lineup construction by just paying up at power forward. And then all this money, I think people are going to want to spend up at center. Karl Anthony Towns is a guy who's going to be pretty popular. I would expect he's 10-3 on FanDuel. He projects really well for me, but a guy like Whiteside is a guy I like a lot. He's my sharp side lock of the day. I got the over-under on his rebounds at, I think it was 13.5. He's a guy who had, I think, 11 or 12 at halftime last game. He averages nearly 14 rebounds a game. Gets a fast-paced matchup against Memphis with a high total, high pace. So I think he's in a good spot as far as the sharp side lock of the day for me. And then Marquise Chris, I like him a lot too. He's my best point per dollar center. He's a little bit, I guess, expensive for what he has been, but taking Looney out of that rotation, I think can get him some more minutes. So he's a good way to get contrarian as well.
Right, and you're talking about the sharp side streak at. If you want to make some money for nothing, you can make money for nothing with sharp side. I'm telling you, you can. It's an infinite EV. It's just a matter of your time. So if you download the sharp side app, download the app, you get to swipe your bets for nothing. You don't have to wager anything. And you're going to get FanDuel credit the longer your streak ends up going on. So once you get above 5 straight lock bets, which is any bet, including props, minus 140 or less. Obviously, like minus $1 million. Most likely that happens. We got to make it somewhat difficult on you. And they'll get paid for every lock bet they get correct. You'll get it beyond 5. And Devin posted the link in the chat. You'll get read more about that. So if you want FanDuel credit, just download the SharpSide app and start swiping, right? Hey, even if you're not sure, hey, I don't know anything about that, but what does it help? What's the worst thing that happens? You lose nothing? So just do it, right? It makes it, we're giving away free money here. We're giving away everything for free. Crunch Time is free tonight. If we get up to what? 250 likes? That should be nothing. We got 40 minutes left. We should be there already. So my drink is getting warmer. It needs to be colder. Okay, to get it colder, maybe people don't even care about my drink. Maybe you care about your fantasy teams. You know that low-owned guy that you're going to play tonight? I've been told that the more you hit the like button, the better chance that he has to do well. The smash percentage will go up if you hit the like button. And if you want your opponent's lineups to do badly, you still hit the like button. So it works both ways. So like if you're fading a high owned play, if you want Check Diallo to fail and because you're not playing him, hit the like button. Hey, anything you ever wanted in life, anything, a successful relationship, a good job. I feel like a motivational speaker. You hit the like button. There you go. That's all you need to do. I should publish my own book, Kyle. How to hit the like button for, how to smart, the power of positive like buttoning or whatever you call it.
There you go. Yep, you gotta like it. I mean, crunch time's gonna be really important to have tonight, especially with all the news. 11-game slate, tough to follow. Be bouncing all over the place, so get that for free for sure.
And then we have the projections updated with the Love news, and Larry Nance definitely does come up to a very high projected score. If you don't play Larry Nance, do you think it's sneaky? Okay, I want to talk about this game in general, just from a GPP perspective. If you're going to play Nance, it seems like a perfect lineup to play Trey Young. It seems like a perfect lineup to play Dwayne Dedmon. It feels like I could play Young, Dedmon, Nance, and if Young is going to be as low owned as he projects to be, you could still play a chalky Larry Nance and still have a very unique combination, and at least they're in the same game and correlative. And I also view it that if you're not going to play Larry Nance, do you think like Kevin Porter off the bench becomes, maybe not on FanDuel where you don't really need the value, but at 4,300, if he's projecting for 29 minutes and going to get usage in the second unit a lot against the horrible Atlanta defense, he's projecting, he's going to come in at single digit owned. And do you think that is a good pivot off of Nance chalk?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Kevin Porter just because of the minutes, the things that they can do with rotation. They can give Osman the minutes. I don't want to even think about it, but they could do something dumb and play Tristan Thompson and Drummond alongside each other. So obviously he's low owned. So that obviously implies that there's a little bit of risk there, and especially with value guys. The field's so sharp these days. So the guys lower owned, there's definitely some risk there. But I definitely think it could be a viable pivot. But on FanDuel, yeah, you mentioned that. I don't really think there's any need to do that. I think there's other ways to go. And just the price that he's priced similarly to other guys on FanDuel at the same position. So maybe a viable pivot on DraftKings, but I'm with you. I'm not going there on FanDuel.
Okay, so let's talk about cheap value because people are looking like Check Diallo. Okay, that stands out. We don't have to worry about it. But we have some of these guys that are projected for 20 plus minutes, but they're not like starters minutes. There's not like they have a minutes limit. Like we have Oladipo. Like between like guys like James Johnson, Oladipo, Cameron Johnson, Royce O'Neal, or like Ingles, Melton, Porter, James Ennis, for whatever reason, 19 minutes. He's projecting somewhat decently, I guess. Malik Beasley from Minnesota, like Juancho Hernan-Gomez on Minnesota. Like these types of guys. I know that people like these stars and scrubs type of constructions where, we sort by salary. It's like, yeah, maybe I do want to play Luka. Maybe I want to play a lineup with Trey Young and Karl Anthony Towns together on DraftKings. You're going to play a 2% owned Jokic against the Lakers. No one's going there, right? I think that game is going to be like barely any owned. Paying for $9,800 for Sabonis against Milwaukee. He's 1% owned. Point per dollar wise, I don't consider that a good play. But if Sabonis put up a triple-double with 65 points, I'm not shocked if it happened. But in order to get those types of guys in, you kind of need to play the value guys that are, the range of outcomes is going to be wide. So on the cheap end, especially on DraftKings, because on FanDuel, you almost don't have to go there because just play the best plays and you're probably good and differentiate elsewhere. So out of the guys that I've listed or other guys in those price ranges, who stands out the most as far as compared to their ownership? And none of these guys are going to be like highly, highly owned outside of like guys like Diallo, who you're more likely to take a shot on than others in this range.
I think DiVincenzo's a guy that I think I can take a shot on here in the cheaper range. But for me personally, I think a way to do it is maybe eat some of this chalk and in the cheap range and then pay up and be contrarian with guys that are more expensive. So we've talked about some guys that are going to be somewhat popular and pretty expensive, like a guy like Devin Booker. Maybe you pivot off of a guy like Booker and you play a guy like Diallo or whatever that may be. But another guy that could be interesting is Cam Johnson. He could be an interesting pivot off of some of this Suns chalk. Should play around 25 minutes. He's 3,200 on DraftKings, so he's someone that might be somewhat interesting as well. But other than that, I think for me, I would want to maybe contrarian up top rather than take a risk on some of these chalky guys. But you mentioned one guy, Hernan Gomez. I think he's pretty interesting as well. I have him projected for 26 minutes, so that's someone that's interesting for me. And then Ariza is another guy as well, 4,500. I think he's 4,400 on FanDuel. He's going to play just a ton of minutes, so I like him a pretty good amount too. So I'm trying to spend down at small forward as much as I can. There's a lot of value at small forward today.
I know I brought up the Cleveland situation, but in looking, because I'm looking through projections, I'm looking at some percentages. If Andre Drummond is going to be 5% down with Love out, like who says that Andre Drummond doesn't have? I mean, if this was Andre Drummond on the Pistons with Blake Griffin out and he's 9,400 and he's facing the Atlanta Hawks with an applied total for their team at 115 or 116, in that situation, wouldn't we be playing him? Are people just going to avoid the situation because it's like, oh, we don't know much about the Cavaliers or whatever? But like, do you really expect like Love's usage to just all go to Nance or just all go to Sexton? Is it quite possible that Drummond plays 33 to 35 minutes and ends up putting up 60 points against the Hawks?
I think him getting a usage bump is definitely possible, and he could obviously get there, but I just don't see him getting to the mid-30s of minutes here. Last game, they did an even split of 48, 30 to Drummond, 19 or 18, whatever it was, to I think Drummond played 29 and Thompson played 19. So that's 48 minutes at the center position. So that tells me right away that they don't plan on sharing these guys with the floor at all, and they're going to be split between 48 minutes. With obviously Drummond getting the more heavy side of the minutes there, so I don't see him getting into the mid 30s of minutes. I have projected for 30, so I just don't see that happening. But obviously, he could get the usage. Obviously, it's a really good matchup, so I definitely can't hate on the play at all. But I think as far as center, there are more upside plays. I think Whiteside's probably a little bit more of a high upside play. I know he'll probably have a little bit more ownership, but he's $1,000 cheaper on DraftKings, over $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel. Has a great matchup against Memphis. So I think I would rather go for a guy like Whiteside there. So the usage isn't an issue with Drummond. I just think it's the minutes. And unless we see Thompson and Drummond share the floor, which I don't see happening, I don't see him getting to the mid-30s of minutes.
Okay. So, if you think he gets the minutes, I think it's a good price. But if you don't, what's our sample size there? Not much. So,
yeah.
It could be just like last game. It could be Drummond plays 36 minutes.
Right.
That's what you play GPPs for. I'm just looking at 5% owned. Like if that number was like 14, 15, I'd be like, okay, it's not worth it for 9,400. But at that low ownership, maybe I'd take a shot. Now, talking about the opposite side, as far as higher owned guys that you're more likely to fade, not necessarily in every lineup, not necessarily that they're bad plays, but in looking at least on DraftKings, to me, I think I'm more likely based on just the fact that he's not going to play more than 28 minutes for GPPs. If Oladipo is going to come in at 25 to 30% owned, especially on an 11-game slate where, I could play plenty of guys at 4,800. I could play Joe Ingles without Conley, and I could play Clark. I could play other guys. There are other players to play on this slate. So I know Oladipo could have, he's the type of player that if he put up 40 in 28 minutes, I'm not shocked. But at 25 to 30% ownership on DraftKings, to me, I'm more likely. It's quite likely that after the show, I X him out of my pool and don't play any of them. But at minimum, I'm playing little of him. Do you see any of those types of the chalk plays that may not be the greatest places to go as far as their success rate on either DraftKings or on FanDuel?
Yeah, I'm looking at I have FanDuel's numbers pulled up right now. So Michael Bridges is a guy who we have projected at 22% on FanDuel at small forward right now. It's a good price for him. He's going to play a ton of minutes, but I mentioned that there's a lot of pivots at small forward that you can go to. So he's maybe a guy that I don't have a lot of interest in at that ownership. He's a guy who maybe you have some interest in if he's less popular, but a lot of his value comes from steals and blocks, and obviously that's the most volatile part of basketball. So maybe he's a guy who's fairly chalky and can bust, but he is going to be out there for a ton of minutes. So I can't really hate on that play, but he's a guy that I'd probably be under the field on. Like I mentioned, there's a guy like Ariza who's cheaper who you can play there. There's a handful of guys at small forward at that position that you can play. Another guy, Andrew Wiggins, 22%. Don't hate it. I just don't think I get there too frequently. He's a little bit more expensive than a guy like Kelly Oubre, who I like a lot. And small forward's a guy or a spot that I'm trying to, pay down at, trying to get some value at small forward. So that's probably the two main ones that I see that are above 20% projected ownership right now on FanDuel. We actually have Rudy Gobert projected for 19%. I don't think I'll have any Rudy Gobert. He's not in my top 3 of centers. The projection on him isn't bad, but I like Cat a lot, and I like Marquise Chris a lot, and then obviously Whiteside's probably my favorite center of the day. So I think those are the 3 that I'm sticking with. So he's probably a guy I don't have a whole lot of interest in there. Karis LeVert's getting some ownership as well. He's 6K now on FanDuel. He's the one guy that FanDuel actually did price up because he's just been playing so well. 60%, I don't think that's a bad number for him at all. He could actually move up a little bit depending on the contest that you're in. So maybe I think there's a lot of guys that are cheaper than him at shooting guards. Well, there's Kevin Huerter, there's Jordan Clarkson. They're both 4.9. Then you got CJ McCollum, who's only 400 more than a guy like LeVert at shooting guard. So maybe no LeVert for me tonight either.
Okay, I brought up on the screen, since we're talking about GPP strategy. This is a premium article that comes out every day. It's called Slate IQ for NBA. Some of the stuff is, maybe not all that important. A lot of the stuff doesn't change that much from day to day, but it depends on the size of the slate, depends on the pricing. This is only for DraftKings though. No, I don't believe this is for FanDuel. And what this does is it goes back for the previous every slate that ever existed on DraftKings and pulls out the 25 most similar slates to tonight based on the slate size and player salary and the positional comparisons. And it'll go and see from a large field GPP perspective, what types of players, what types of constructions end up showing up as like a top 0.1% lineup. So one of the things that I always look at is we see these ceiling correlations. Like people talk about game stacks, but if you notice, like even on this, like the amount of times that like a 3-2 game stack wins on a slate this size is less than 1%. Okay. Using like 3 players from one team, like a 3-0, it wins at a 6% rate, but like the field rosters them at an 8% rate. So really what you're looking at is to make unique constructions in GPP that have more shot at winning than what the field will roster them at. And we see a lot of times, as I'm showing on the screen now, this is premium. If you want to be a premium member, rotogrinders.com/premium and sign up. You get all of this content. And we have big news that Karl Anthony Towns is now out.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay. So we'll get to that. We'll get to what we do now in that situation. But let's go over, being that a lot of times I'm building a player pool with multiple guys in a game. Like maybe I am playing Nance and Porter. Maybe I am playing Young and Dedmon. And typically if I'm playing guys in my pool from similar games, I kind of want to put them together. Because if they're going to close the games, be on the court, maximum minutes, the game goes over. So we see a lot of times that you get the most amount of win equity as well as leverage with like a 2-1 type of stack. So that's why I was talking about like Young, Dedmon, Nance, 2-1. Do you see any of those types of opportunities where you could piece together 3 players from one game that make the most sense from both a value perspective as well as a leverage perspective?
Yeah, so on FanDuel, I think I have $2 to $3 in a lineup, and then also I think just based on the pricing that they have, you can go 2 to 3 Suns, and maybe 2 Suns, and then Marquise Chris in your lineup, or if you like Andrew Wiggins. So that's the game that I like a lot, Golden State and Phoenix. I like Booker, Oubre, and Diallo quite a bit, and then like I mentioned, I like Chris. So pairing those guys all together kind of makes sense. As far as Milwaukee, that game, having Bledsoe, Middleton, bringing them back with Sabonis makes a lot of sense. Sabonis is a little bit more expensive, should be pretty contrarian if I had to guess. I haven't updated the ownership projections since the show started, but just based on the way lineup construction has been on FanDuel, I don't expect him to have a whole lot of ownership. So that's another one that makes a lot of sense. And then, if you want to be really contrarian, I think a little mini stack that's going overlooked is John Morant, Damian Lillard, and Hassan Whiteside. I like that one a lot as well.
Okay, so I pulled up the active kind of Minnesota roster because I think this is interesting to talk about, and we'll talk about it more if you hit the thumbs up button, right? Maybe I just pause the whole show and we just wait until we get to 250. I could do that. I do have the power to do that, right? I feel like dad, like I'll turn this car around type of thing. If we don't get up to 250 likes, you get crunch time for nothing. You get crunch time right after this, which is like our premium show. So hit the thumbs up button. Okay, looking at the Timberwolves. With Cat out, obviously it opens up all the center minutes. It also opens up all the usage in the starting unit. My concern, obviously, Jordan Bell isn't there anymore. Gorgie Cheng isn't there anymore. Like, are they just going to start Naz Reid and that's going to be it? Or do we have to consider the fact that Charlotte really doesn't play big? So can they play a James Johnson or a Juancho Hernan-Gomez at the 5 against a guy like PJ Washington or even Zeller for a couple of minutes or something like that? This game is an 8:00 game, so I don't know if we're going to get starters before lock. And if we do, like the usage has to be open enough that now Russell and Beasley have to become plays if they're going to play 30-plus minutes in the starting unit as shooters. Like, who else is going to score points in this game? So how do you view the Timberwolves situation now that we know that Towns is out?
Yeah, instantly, Russell's probably one of my favorite tournament plays if the ownership stays low on him on FanDuel. He's 7,600 over there. He had a 24% usage. I think it was 24.5% usage in that first game. Obviously, it's going to be, increase here with Towns off the floor. He's a guy around, 25, 26% usage over the course of the year. And then last game, he was at 25 as well. So obviously, he should have some more usage. As far as what they're going to do with, the center minutes here, it's tough because they've been using James Johnson as a ball handler. Actually, he was actually playing before Russell was able to play, obviously, because Russell missed that first game that he was able to play with the quad injury. And James Johnson was handling the ball at times. So I don't know if they'll use him at as a center. They could obviously play Naz Reid there. He probably sounds like a more natural fit, but James Johnson's been playing a ton of minutes. I guess my first guess would be that they're going to play James Johnson at the 4 or 5 and Hernan-Gomez at the 4 or 5. Hernan-Gomez, I think, becomes a very, very good value play here. I think he'll still be contrarian. The minutes were around 25, 26. They're definitely safe there now with some upside to get into the 30s for minutes. So I like him a lot tonight. As far as what they're going to do at the center, it's going to be either Naz Reid or James Johnson, I would expect. Unless Spellman can get in there. I don't know. They haven't played him yet. So it's going to be kind of a see who starts. I think the starting lineup will tell more of a clearer picture, but on FanDuel, we're probably not going to have that news. You're probably guessing a little bit.
Yeah, but these prices on DraftKings, probably on both sites. James Johnson's 3,500. Yeah. Beasley's, I think from a perspective, to me, I view this situation like this. Russell and Beasley don't get a minutes upgrade. There's no Karl-Anthony Towns being out doesn't give them any more minutes. It just gives them more usage. But we had Karl-Anthony Towns projected for 35 minutes at center. Those minutes are going to go to James Johnson, Naz Reid, Juancho Hernan-Gomez. So I know the projections team currently is working on that, but let's say we have 35 minutes to go around. So let's say Naz Reid plays 14 of that. I'm just making it up right now. We got 21 minutes to go around. Let's say James Johnson gets 11 of them, and he goes up to 35. And let's say Juancho Hernan-Gomez gets 10 of them. If I just did that and just gave those three those minutes, they become the best point per dollar plays in the whole slate, right? At their price, because they're all under 4K. So because we had Jordan McLaughlin it doesn't affect him. It doesn't affect Crabbe. It doesn't affect Culver. Maybe Okogie gets some 4 minutes against the Hornets.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I can't see how 35 minutes being gone from the highest usage player on the team doesn't turn at least one, if not two, of these sub 4K guys into cash plays, essentially. Yeah, and in tournaments, I think a guy like Naz Reid I still think he'll go overlooked, even though I think he's going to project really well. But with Diallo on the slate, with Nance on the slate, with Ilyasova on the slate, with potentially RHJ on the slate as a good value option, Naz Reid, the ownership on him, especially on FanDuel, where you can only play two of these guys,
I think it could be, unless people like him more than Diallo, I think it could be not low, but at least low compared to what he would normally be on a slate, or maybe he was the top value play of the day. So yeah, I think Reed, if Reed's starting especially, I think he's a really strong play. He should get in there for at least 22, 23 minutes. Whether he's starting or not, he's going to have to take some of these center minutes for sure. So yeah, I think he's a really strong option. And, looking at the rotations from last game, Okogie kind of fell out of the rotation, and they were playing Hernan Gomez at the 3, Johnson at the 4, and Towns at the 5. So they could start Johnson, Hernan Gomez, and Reed all together if they really wanted to. So I think all three of these guys could be pretty good plays. Hernan Gomez would probably be my favorite one behind Naz Reid. Naz Reid would be number 1, Hernan Gomez 2, and James Johnson 3 for me as far as the value, guys.
Right. And typically the Hornets, we want to target front court players against them. I mean, right? I mean, that the Hornets, the best part of the matchup is their front court. So if we're going to get guys that are under 4K, they're going to play major minutes against the Hornets front court. The only concerning thing against the Hornets is obviously their pace of play. But Minnesota, I mean, they have an implied total of 118. Now, obviously, that's going to start coming down. That the total in this game should come down with Towns being out. But still, we're going to see Minnesota with a nice, healthy 113, 114 minimum. And, I mean, if they're going to score 114 points, I mean, look at, besides Russell, no one is over 5K. Right? So, yeah. I know we started this show. We started the whole slate. This is what's either great or horrible about NBA DFS is that you spent the whole day going, okay, I think I know where I'm going to go. And then one bit of news that was unexpected. Like, we're still waiting on Ibaka. We had a sense that Love may be out. Ayton was like, okay, we're prepared for Check Diallo. And then something like this happens. It's like, how do we jam in all the Timberwolves? So, yes, I think the only concern I have with Naz Reid is whether or not they do play small and he doesn't see major minutes. But I can't see him not play. I mean, with Towns in, he was projected for 14 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't see that not being at least 20. And he's 3.3K. So even at 20 minutes, he still rates as almost a 6X median type of play. So I think my only concern with the Timberwolves is not a matter of who I play, but just like how many do I play together?
Yeah, I chat mentioned it, and I went and double checked it. Spellman is ruled out. He's on G League assignment. I don't see any way that they could bring him up. That was in the 5:30 injury report. So same with Martin and Evan Turner, not with the team either. So they have 9 guys: Russell, Beasley, Hernan Gomez, Okogie, Johnson, Culver, Reed, McLaughlin, and Crabbe. And a lot of those guys that I mentioned are wings or guards. So I think Reed is going to have to handle at least 22, 23 minutes. And that's, I think, a minimum mark probably. I already had James Johnson projected for 24 minutes. So obviously give him a little bit of a boost as well. Naz Reid is a guy who's around a 1.15, 1.2, depending on what site you're playing on. Per minute guy. So really good per minute guy. Obviously a good matchup. So yeah, I think Naz Reid becomes one of the better value plays of the day.
Now he's power forward eligible on FanDuel. So I mean, like you could legitimately play Naz Reid and Check Diallo.
Yeah.
And pay both down for both spots. Juancho Hernan Gomez is 3,900 small forward eligible.
Yep.
D'Angelo Russell is now underpriced on FanDuel at 76. I mean, FanDuel, you have the curse of like you could play anyone you want. But for slates like this, I think it actually makes, to me, would you agree with this? I know you play on FanDuel way more than I do. And we got news that Serge Ibaka will play today. So Serge Ibaka is in. Here, give me your strategic impression on this. Because earlier in the day, people are like, okay, I'm playing Check Diallo at power forward on FanDuel. I'm playing the Bucks in the spots that they should be playing them on FanDuel. Do you think it makes it more likely that for you and GPP that you'll take advantage? Do you find on FanDuel, from your experience, that people react less to late news or more to late news? So like thinking in terms of, do you think the Check Diallo ownership gets affected more by Naz Reid being a play? Or do you think that more people on FanDuel just go like, well, I had Check Diallo in my whole time, so screw the new news? Like, which way are you more likely to see it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of like a time thing. So I think this one is about an hour before the slate started. So I think that'll that'll affect things a little bit. I don't think the news on Diallo will change anything because he was such a good value play to begin with. He's still going to be such a good value play. So I don't think his ownership will change much, but definitely in terms of, so for example, the other night when RHJ got ruled starter like 15 minutes before lock, the ownership didn't move on him or Boucher. They stayed the same because it was so late. I think people just left their lineups as it was. So definitely depends on the timing and also how good of a play they are. Like Diallo, I think, is still going to be massive chalk. He could be 90% on FanDuel in some contests. What I think is what we're going to see is Larry Nance. I think his ownership's going to move. I think he's going to fall back quite a bit. I think people are going to play Reed and Diallo together. And a guy like Larry Nance, who we talked about it, we liked him a lot, is going to be not, I wouldn't say contrarian, but I think he'll at least be lower owned now. And we mentioned pairing him with Trey Young was a nice little contrarian pairing. Now I think it becomes even more contrarian with the ownership on Nance dropping a little bit. So I think that's one that will definitely move the meter a little bit for sure.
Right. We just got updated projections on the Timberwolves. And this is premium stuff. So, I mean, we normally don't give away premium stuff on Grinders Live where you get to see some of this. So, I mean, you should sign up for Rotogrinders Premium, rotogrinders.com/premium. But as a thank you, you should hit the thumbs up button. Just go hit the thumbs up, press around on YouTube, hit whatever buttons you need to hit. If we get up to 250, you get Crunch Time for free, which is also a premium thing. So it's like we're giving away everything, right? You want my drink also? I can mail it to you. Let's go. Hit the like button. So now that the Timberwolves have been updated, they're given our projections team, which is like the best in the industry. So, I mean, you can see it here. Meansy, Tuttle, Notorious, SBK, Jamino. They're great. They're the best projections in the industry. So you should sign up for premium to get them all the time. Naz Reid, 26 minutes. James Johnson, 27 minutes. Juancho, 28 minutes. They threw Jared Vanderbilt into the rotation for 17 minutes. Obviously, Russell, like all the other guys, really, the wings and everyone in the guards don't really change. But, I mean, means he already marked him as a core play because, like, at 3,300, if Naz Reid gets 26 minutes at, like, 1.3 plus fantasy points per minute against the hapless Hornets front court, like, he projects as the top point. I mean, like, literally, just what we said before for the whole slate. Like, Naz Reid, James Johnson, and Juancho Hernangomez, alongside Check Diallo, are 3 of the 4 top point per dollar projected plays on DraftKings. And if we go to FanDuel, I'm assuming we're going to see something very similar.
And Naz Reid's up there for sure.
Reload here. Yeah, Check Diallo, Naz, like, yeah, and Larry. Yeah. You have a problem at power forward now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Check Diallo, Naz Reid, Larry Nance. Who do you out of the 3? If you had to only pick 2, who would you?
Well, so one thing to keep in mind, you have a little bit of a ticker up top where it says ownership was updated 548. So those ownerships aren't updated yet after the cat news. So that's one thing. My big thing is going to depend on the ownership here. I think Larry Nance's number drops a bit and Naz Reid becomes pretty popular. And in that case, I think I would like Nance a little bit more than Reid. I think Diallo's probably number 1. He's just going to play a ton of minutes. He has really no option but to play 33, 34 minutes. So I think Diallo's a guy that I'd probably put number 1, Larry Nance 2, Naz Reid 3, but I think they're all really good plays.
Right. The good part, you know what's great about DraftKings? Naz Reid, James Johnson, and Check Diallo are all PFCs, so you can play all 3 together. You could actually play all 3 and Juancho Hernangomez at power forward because that's your utility spot. And now Larry Nance is also PFC. Okay. Like I said from the beginning of the show, this is a GPP-oriented show. On DraftKings, if you're playing like someone like Julius Randle, his ownership is going to go way down. So anyone that's expensive, and you can see this on FanDuel also, right, Kyle?
Yep.
Anyone that's expensive that's power forward eligible, their ownership is naturally going to go down. So even if you wanted to play, let's say you wanted to play Booker, let's say you wanted to play Bledsoe, who are going to be chalkier guards, if you forego some of this PFC value and pay up for a Jokic or Whiteside, Gobert, Randall, those types of guys, it's going to be different. And remember, Randall's playing the Wizards. So, like, I know that he's efficiently priced, but if you told me Randall put up 65 points against the Wizards, like, I'm not shocked, right? Like, I just see that now that since all this, with Towns out, all the value is at power forward center. And before it's like, okay, we check Diallo, and then it's like we opened up Larry Nance. I'm like, okay, now we got 2. Now we got like 5. Right? Dedmond also has value at center spot. So Ibaka, how do we fit in Ibaka into the lineups now? Like Ibaka on FanDuel is underpriced and underowned. So like I think that this is if you're massively multi-entering, I could definitely see making a group with like these value guys and maybe even setting a rule that you only have one of them each lineup and pay up in the other spot. And then like just hope you got the right one that goes like the most off, and you'll know that you're different, and hope the ones that you don't have are the ones that have a snowflake.
Yep. Looking at Twitter, a beat writer for the Minnesota Timberwolves appears to think that Nasri's going to be starting at center. He didn't sound confident in it, but that's what he, I guess, is assuming based on watching workouts and whatnot. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe those 26 minutes turns into 28 or whatnot. But yeah, definitely, you mentioned it. A lot of these power forwards, one guy that I brought up was Sabonis. He's going to be extremely low owned now, and he pairs really well. If you're talking FanDuel specifically, he pairs really well with guys like Middleton and Bledsoe in a similar game. Obviously, if these 3 guys are going to hit their ceiling, and the game probably going to want to be close. So that makes a lot of sense for me as well. Crunch Time's going to be able to cover a lot of this, so everyone's going to want to hit the like button, get to 250. Devin said we were about 40 short at the 10-minute mark, so we need to get those likes up so that way you guys can get Crunch Time and hear those 3 guys break this stuff down, because madness here. Me and Blender are kind of doing things on the fly here. They'll have a little bit of time to prepare and give you some clear, concise thoughts about the slate and all this news.
And if you have QQs, start putting them into YouTube chat now. QQs, player questions, strategy questions, anything you want, and we'll only answer them when you do that. You also hit the like button. So like I'm just gonna hold you hostage until you do that. Last question about this Timberwolves situation. Would you group out Reed and Johnson to not be in the same lineups? Like if they go small, if they go big, or are they at the prices 3,500, 3,300 on DraftKings that like they could both get there regardless?
Yeah, I don't think you need to. The price is nice, but also I wouldn't be surprised to see these 3 guys, Hernan Gomez, Reed, and Johnson play together. You know, like I mentioned, the closing rotation last game was Johnson and Hernan Gomez with Cat. So maybe those 3 guys close together. Obviously, there's the issue where they could go smaller and maybe have just 2 of those guys on the floor. But I don't think you necessarily need to group them out. I think that these are guys that you could play together. I would probably prefer to only play 2 of them. I don't think I'd want all 3, but I don't think you should just limit yourself to 1. I think 2 would probably be the sweet spot for me.
Right, because I mean, and also like I don't mind playing Russell in that lineup either, right? I mean, like right. It's getting to the point where they're playing the Hornets. They're going to have over 110 total. Like I didn't expect to have to talk about. I thought we would talk about the Timberwolves as in, do you play Beasley? Do you play Towns? That type of thing. And now it just feels like we're playing everyone else. And I mean, it's an 11 get. Like I'm going to stress this fact: if you're a GPP, especially if you're a contrarian player, it's an 11 game slate, and we have guys that are going to be like 30, 40, 50% owned in large field GPPs. If you see a guy that's 50%, like check Diallo, we have projected to be 56% owned at 5K, not on FanDuel where it's 3,700, 56%. I could go to any other 5K player. So I'm going to go to a 5K player. Just go right down here to the 5K player. We got Larry Nance at 5,100, 44% owned. Check Diallo, 56% owned at 5K. Mitchell Robinson against the Wizards is less than 1% owned. I'm not saying he's a better play than the other 2. I'm not saying that Joe Ingles. I'm not saying that Jay Crowder or whatever. I mean, like Miles Turner against Milwaukee. I don't know. I mean, they're not great spots, but you can't tell me that these guys that Check Diallo and Larry Nance, if these guys are 1% owned, are going to put up higher points, like 50 times more likely. So it may not be the best example on the pivots, I guess you would say, but just think in that terms of like, don't be scared to fade these guys. Not all of them in one lineup, but don't be scared. Don't feel like you need to jam in 5 of these guys and then like play a different like high price guy. It's an 11 game slate and there's a lot of variance even in NBA. So I believe that I'm going to be building lineups that I still play these guys. I just group them out so they don't all appear in similar lineups together.
Yeah, and then you mentioned it, even if you wanted to play a few of these guys and kind of follow the chalk with these value guys, there are ways to get contrarian that we talked about with some guys that are up top. And make sure you're refreshing the lineup HQ to get the updated ownership, because that'll tell you a lot. The closer we get to lock, the more precise those ownership projections will be.
Okay, let's go through some QQs. Rapid, I guess, somewhat rapid fire. I'm the host, so I get to just do it on you. So I don't have to. My natural response, if it's a GPP question, is play wherever you want. And the one for the cash question is, what are the projections say? So you already know my answers. Let's get Kyle's. Okay, QQ. Favorite center for FanDuel cash now that Cat is out?
It'd be Whiteside for me, but Marquise Chris is the second, close second.
Okay, for every question we do, you got to hit the like button. So there you go.
Yep.
Naz Reid or Dedmon?
Naz Reid.
Collins or John Collins we didn't talk about, or Serge Ibaka?
I would probably prefer Collins, but it's close. I think Collins has a lot of upside here in this spot, but so does Ibaka. So it's close, but I'll go Collins slightly.
Okay, we had a question, so you got to hit the like button. We need 11 more in order to get free crunch time. You're getting something. We don't get anything I don't know. The YouTube gods give us good karma, I guess, from the like button. People are talking about Drummond being a must play. Like what? I mean, your opinion on the Drummond situation is not that he's like a bad, right. He's not in a bad spot. It's just that you don't think he's going to play more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really reluctant to assume that he's going to be in the mid 30s. I mean, he could play 32, 33. I could be wrong about it, but I definitely don't see him getting up to 36, 35 minutes like he once was in Detroit with Tristan Thompson splitting those minutes with him. Obviously, it's not right down the middle, but he's getting some. So I think Whiteside's just a better play, definitely a better per dollar play for me. And then Marquise Chris is a guy I like a lot. So just no need to go to Drummond for me, especially on FanDuel. I guess on Draftkings, you can consider it more considering he's a little bit cheaper over there. But on FanDuel, there's no need for me. He's the same price as a guy like Jokic. I think I'd rather take a shot on a guy like Jokic at that price. But for me, it's Whiteside and Chris at center.
Okay, so you prefer Chris over Dedmon even?
Yep.
Let's see, Hernan and Naz together. I mean, all these guys are cheap enough that they can all get there. So, you can play these guys together. Talking about the Timberwolves, just to put a little GPP spin on it, if you're going to stack the Timberwolves, there's no reason that you can't play Devontae Graham, PJ Washington, Terry Rozier. Play a Hornet and then build a 2-1 type of stack. Build a 3-1. But no, if they all get there, it's quite possible Devontae Graham has a 50-plus point game, or Rozier is shooting well. I mean, it's not like we care about Karl Anthony Towns' defense, but the Charlotte has a healthy total also of 114. So there may be people on the Hornets side that could get there.
Yeah, a guy that I had some interest in before was Malik Monk, cheap and playing around 28, 29 minutes. So he's a guy, if you need another value spot, I don't know if you necessarily need another value option, but you can definitely go there. Devontae Graham, you mentioned another good option. Rozier's the tough one for me when considering FanDuel because there's so many good point guards, especially, at the top. And then you got Bledsoe and Morant and kind of the middle of the tier. So I would prefer Graham over Rozier based on lineup construction, but I think Graham and Monk are pretty interesting options as well. One quick note that we didn't touch on, Marvin Williams is going to make his Bucks debut, so that could potentially hurt Ersan a little bit. So just keep that in mind. I know we have a lot of power forwards that are active and good value plays today, but Ersan might lose some minutes due to Marvin Williams playing, so maybe that's not necessarily the pivot that you want to get to tonight.
But also we have to realize, I mean, when it comes to Milwaukee, they're playing the Pacers. Turner and Sabonis are on the court a lot together. I mean, they're going to have the Lopez brothers, they got Marvin Williams, they got Ersan Ilyasova. So it's not like the Bucks really have that much size, but the fact that both Sabonis and Turner are on the court a lot, do you think that is more secure? I mean, do you think they run Marvin at the 5 a lot? I'm not saying that Marvin Williams is a play. I'm just saying that does the matchup matter on whether or not Ilyasova gets plus or minus minutes?
I don't think the matchup matters too much here. I think based on the size of the Lopez brothers alone, those guys can handle the bulk of the center minutes, and they're not going to play the Lopez brothers side by side. So it's going to be Marvin and Ersan splitting those minutes at the 4, I think, whether, matchup or not. So I think, Ilyasova wasn't a guy that was getting into the 30s of minutes. I know he was probably going to be around 25, 26. So now I'm just trying to raise some concerns where he might only play around 20. So that's all I'm trying to. You could still play Ersan. I think he can I get hit value in that limited time. But I'm just saying with Marvin active, he could potentially take some minutes away from Ersan. I don't really like either of them today. I don't think there's any need to play those two. I'd probably just rather play Diallo, Reed, and Larry Nance.
Okay, we're getting word that James Johnson will start for the Timberwolves tonight for Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay, so that means Naz Reid's not starting, right? Because James Johnson didn't start last game. So they're going to start Johnson at the 5, Hernan Gomez at the 4.
Right, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, Naz Reid still has to play minutes, right?
Yeah. Yep, he'll still probably be around 24, 25 minutes, I would assume. Let me see where I ended up putting him. Yeah, I mean, and he's a good permanent guy anyway. We mentioned it. It's a good matchup. So he could definitely still hit value. I ended up putting him at 25 minutes. So, yeah, I think he's still a strong play.
Okay, so we've hit our like total. We're at 6:20 Eastern. We got enough likes. My drink, it's cold. Okay, and there's no alcohol in it. People are like, oh, what? It must. No, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I just have a lot of energy, and I want to make sure that you guys are doing well for GPPs tonight. But since we hit that like total, you're going to get crunch time right on this feed. So just keep on staying tuned. And all of your QQs, I mean, Meansy and Roth and JSU, they probably go through like 130 in the course of 10 minutes. So they're much better, especially with more news coming out before lock on who's starting, how projections will change. So tune in for that. So Kyle, any last words as far as FanDuel concerned?
No, I think just as far as that is, don't be afraid to play the chalk, but don't be afraid to get contrarian in spots too, especially when you're talking about playing, guys in, the higher pricing ranges. So a lot of good plays tonight, and don't be afraid to get some leverage.
Okay, great advice. Play the chalk or don't play the chalk. Sounds like play whoever you want to me, which is my strategy. So for the next time, we will have the 2 game slate tomorrow. I don't know who's on tomorrow, but I don't know how they're going to fill an hour, but they're going to figure it out, right? We had 11 games, they have 2 games. So for Kyle Murray, I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender, and that was Grinders Live on Rotogrinders.com.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to Crunch Time. It is a Wednesday show and a very busy one at that. All kinds of news, all kinds of great plays out there. So we are joined by one, Mr. Andy Means, two, Mr. JSU to help break it down. Means, what up?
Just trying to sort through all this mess, man. How about you?
I am waiting for you to sort through all this mess so I can plug in the plays and make money. By the way, last night I dropped like a 320 something. Night before that, 330. So you guys keep doing the things you're doing. Good work. It's working.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. You can go mute. We got JSU here as well. You're going to give us some GPP takes. What up, JSU?
Not much. I got my slippers stolen from me right before show, and yeah, so that's about it.
Were they stolen by the dog or by the girlfriend?
The girlfriend, and the dog stole them from the girlfriend.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple thefts. Transitive property. Yes. Dog ended up stealing them. Okay. Also, this is a free show. I don't know if you gentlemen are aware, but this is free on YouTube right now because we got 250 likes on the Grinders live show. So if you like the show that you are getting for free, you should know we do this every day. We get great advice from these two geniuses. I'm not included in that group of geniuses. But they give the advice, I take your questions, and it's a good thing. So go ahead. You can join the premium show. You can join Rotogrinders Premium. Then you get the show every single day, 7 days a week. With that said, I think it's time, guys. I should have done a tournament. I should have done a Crunch Time tournament because tomorrow is only 2 games. Maybe we'll do a showdown or something for that. Anyways, Means, let's get to FanDuel Cash because we've got a lot to talk about.
All right. Yeah. This is pretty condensed pool for what do we have? 11 games. I feel pretty strongly about, I don't know, 3 to 4 tops at each position. So point guard, Bledsoe for sure. He's 6'7". Then you're with all this value we have now, especially a power forward. Almost certainly you're going to be paying up at this other spot. And you're going to be choosing between this group of like Trey Young, Doncic, and Lillard. And man, like the numbers are going to tell you to play Doncic, I think. But there's risk there. Like if you just real quick if we go to the share screen and you like just move him, we got him at 32. If you take him down 1, like Dame is the better play. Mm-hmm. And maybe even Trey Young's a better play. So man, it's tough. I'm still honestly debating it. I don't know what the right call is. I have a good feeling about Dame with a bounce back. They just waved the white flag last night and said, that game, we got blown out. They pulled the starters like 8 or 9 minutes. Like, we're going to focus on tonight's game. So I like Dame tonight. I like Luka tonight. I like Trey tonight. I'm interested to hear JSU talk about Trey because I saw that he's got him tagged. So maybe that'll sway me a little bit. But you're most likely picking between one of those 3 as your point guard to pair with Bledsoe. If not, maybe like Dinwiddie. He's 7'8". I know there's some bills that land there. That's what I like at point guard. Shooting guard is almost certainly 2 of 3 guys. I cannot believe I'm saying this based on when I started the day. You can make a case that Middleton now is not a must play on FanDuel. I still think he is, but it's going to be him. It's 2 of Devin is not happy about that. It's going to be 2 of him, it's going to be 2 of him, D-Russ, and Booker. Like those are 3 of the best plays on the slate. There are 2 guys I have tagged on DK, but since FanDuel decided to not price these guys up at all, the Bucks, Middleton fits this group too, but you can only play 2 of them. So I think you definitely play 2 of them. For some reason you're not. You're probably playing like LeVert or the 2 guys at 4'9", like Beasley and Hoyter. I think you've got to play 2 of those 3 I mentioned though. Small forward. This is the least appealing position on the slate by far. Maybe that in center. I feel great about the 2 Suns. Like Ayton's out. So, they're going to get – all the Suns get bumps. These guys are going to have to play some 4, both of these guys. And by those guys, I mean Oubre and Bridges. So, I like those 2 guys. You also have, like, Ingles at 4'9". You also have Wancho at 3'9". So, Cat got rolled out. I don't know if we even we kind of buried the lead a little bit on that. He's out. So, there's all sorts of bumps up for the T-Wolves. So, that's what I'm looking at small forward. Trying to see if there's anyone else. Maybe Kevin Porter Jr., but I prefer those other guys in the 4Ks that I already mentioned. Power forward, 2 of 3 guys, I think. I think it's the 2 guys we have tagged. And actually, you got to throw like James Johnson in that mix now since he's starting. So I'm actually going to untag Nance. You're definitely playing Diallo since James Johnson officially got this starting not over Nas. You can make the case that you play him over Nance. So let me untag Nance real quick on FD because I think it's between those three guys. Again, yeah, go ahead.
Rozier is out, I'm seeing.
Okay, I will come back to that. That's going to give a bump.
In chat. To be fair, I haven't seen it on my Rotogrinders app yet.
He's out. Yep. Yeah. I will come back to that. I highly doubt, just off the top of my head, that's going to matter. Except maybe for Graham. Like, I don't think any cheap plays are going to be better than all these other cheap plays we have. But I'm afforded the time to look at that while JSU's talking. Yeah. So power forward, 2 of Diallo. I think Diallo's a must. He's way too cheap. And then it's pairing him with one of James Johnson or Larry Nance. And then center, again, I think you're picking between one of a few guys here. I think you're most likely spending up here if you're going cheap at all these other spots I've been talking about. And I think you're almost certainly landing on either Whiteside or Gobert. They're 8-8 and 7-8. The other guy I'd throw in there would be Brook Lopez at 5'6", but I just can't see a roster construction that I come close to liking that is going to land at that cheap of range. I think you have the money to spend up, so it's one of Gobert or Whiteside.
Okay, good stuff. JSU, let's talk tournaments here. That's more for DK. Let's go ahead and talk tournaments on FanDuel first.
All right, yeah, so let's just start with Trey. So Trey Young, I love him today. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate. Gets Cleveland, terrible against defending the guards. Sexton and Garland are both horrible defenders. They guard the three-point line, giving up 0.3% from three, which is the third worst defense against the three. So obviously that bodes well for teams that like to shoot three and players, specifically Trey Young, who's, obviously shoots a ton of three-pointers and makes a ton of three-pointers. So I really like him today. It's my top spend on the slate. Other guys I think you can go with in tournaments that are probably going to be, I would say, lower owned. Kyle Lowry. Everyone's going to play Bledsoe. I think he's a perfect pivot. And then Colin Sexton, specifically on FanDuel, but talked about the guards for Cleveland, but Trey Young's not the best defender either. And Colin Sexton can score, and we've seen him do it. And I think it's a good matchup for him as well. So I like him. Shooting guard, at the top, Devin Booker, D. Russ, Chris Middleton, Devontae Graham. I expect those 4 guards to be the most popular. I think out of that range, it's clear to me that Russell and Middleton are probably the 2 best. But I think I'd take the savings a little bit more with Graham and play either Russell or Middleton. It'd probably be Russell then Middleton if I had to rank them. And then for low ownership, I like Malik Beasley at 4,900 for cheap, and then Buddy Hield at 5,700 for tournaments. Small forward, I think Andrew Wiggins is really interesting for tournaments. We've seen him in tough matchups in his first 2 games, Miami and the Lakers. Really tough matchups, honestly. And he had 44 against the Lakers, FanDuel points in 24. So, he didn't do terrible, but just really tough matchups. This is the first decent matchup he's going to get against Phoenix. So I do like him a lot for tournaments. I think people will play Oubre, Pascal, so he'll kind of come under the radar. And then Miles Bridges with Terry Rozier out, I think he's going to need to step up from a scoring perspective and just a do-it-all perspective. So I do like Miles Bridges. Power forward, I think Randall is personally my favorite spend up. I think he will be one of the more popular guys, but I still really like him a lot today. I think Sabonis is a really strong play if you're looking for just kind of a pivot off of Randall. But those are my 2 favorite spend ups for sure. And then Jaren Jackson at 6,600 and Draymond at 6K, I think are solid tournament options. At center, Towns and Drummond were, I thought, the 2 guys at the top for me that I was going between. I think Drummond now becomes the clear number 1 at the top. Really great match against Atlanta. No Kevin Love. I expect him to see more minutes. This game should be close, back and forth. So I do really like him as a spend up. And then I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but no one's talking about him. But Marquise Chris, 5,800, no Kevon Looney today, who played about 16, 17 minutes last couple games. Chris has seen consistently anywhere from 26 to 28 minutes. Maybe he gets a bump to 30, but look at his last 3 games. He's taken 10 or more shots. He's had 2 really good games his last 2 games, and no one's going to play him. But I do like him today against Phoenix.
Alan Lim's going to play him. Fat Halpert, he's going to play him. He's
go.
all over the revenge narrative.
There you go. We got
There
one.
you go.
Anything else?
At 0.6% ownership.
Anything else in GPPs here?
No, I think I hit everything I wanted to.
Okay, a couple names that are starting, Meansy. One, Caleb Martin was starting for Rozier, I believe.
Yeah,
and
Zeller just got ruled out.
Yeah, and Biyombo is starting there.
Yay!
Yeah, keep it going. So priority check.
Oh Jesus! I think it's a Biyombo night now. He's 3K on FanDuel or on DK, and he is I think 3.5 on FanDuel. So let me talk about DK, and then I will come back to where I'm prioritizing him on FanDuel. Is that cool?
Yeah, I think that's
ridiculous. Fair. Good thing you did not do a tournament. Yeah, so I think, if they're starting him, man, I'll look at splits and stuff when we get through. But I mean, I'm almost positive when he started in these games when Zeller was out, he was murdering people, and he's the stone minimum. So unless there's some reason to think he's not going to play normal minutes, he was dropping 30 burgers in this situation early in the year. So I think he's going to be a priority for me now on DK specifically. I'm going to have to tinker with it a little on FanDuel. I'm guessing it's going to be the same there, but I got to figure out how to prioritize the cheapies there. So all right. So DK, real quick. It's like cheap overload on this. All right. So it's crazy. Bledsoe was my favorite play this morning. Now all this stuff happens, and now it's Booker and D-Russ take over for him. They're both point guard, or D-Russ is just point guard now on DK. Booker has both. I think those guys are 2 great plays, 2 of the best spins of the night. Bledsoe is there too if you want to use him at your guard spot. I think they're your definite priorities. I don't even know if I want to talk about cheap plays at guard, because all of the best cheap plays, are the big men. So I don't even I just can't imagine you're going to be spending down at guard in cash games. If I happen to miss someone, I'll bring it up. But I just really maybe in the mid tier, possibly a Rubio or Levert or something. or Oladipo. I just can't imagine you're going down that cheap with all the great front court cheap plays. Shooting guard, one guy I will mention who you might land on is Malik Beasley. He's 4.7. He is actually a pretty good play. You might land on him. He'd be the one guy I could see landing on. Dinwiddie's a good cheap play, a good point guard, shooting guard option. Not nearly as good as the other 3 guys that I mentioned. Small forward. Let's see. Middleton, he's fine. He's 8.8. DK did a much better job adjusting his price tag compared to FanDuel, but he would be suitable to pair with some of the other cheap stuff we have here. Because small forward is the issue. Because we like spending up at point guard, shooting guard. We like spending down at power forward, center.
Yeah.
But small forward, you're kind of lost. So this is where
at the top.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot in there.
Exactly. So maybe this is where you're probably. I could see a Luka build. I could also see just going kind of.
I can see it right here.
Wait, can you hold that up so we can all see it now? You could do a Middleton, but I think you're most likely going to go kind of mid-tierish here. So you do a Levert, an Ingles, a Porter Jr., something like that. That's what I'm envisioning for that small forward slot. Unfortunately, it's one of the rare nights where the MP doesn't help us on DK. Definitely the worst position of the night. Then power forward center, I'm just going to combine where do I stop? You have Diallo, Nance, Biyombo, James Johnson, Naz Reid, even coming off the bench, Reid should be a still good play. You don't need him as much now. Those are just all really, really good options. Wancho, I didn't mention Wancho. So that he's an option. If you're going to spin up, it would be Whiteside at center. I didn't mention Dedmon. He's 4.7. Probably not on this slate, but on a different slate, it'd be good. Ibaka, who I wrote about this morning, and now is just completely borderline obsolete. So that's what I'm doing here. I think I'll let JSU talk for a little bit and let me reassess this Hornets stuff.
Yeah, JSU, I'm really interested in how you're handling, like, the build is clear, cheap at big men, pay up for guard. That's the build. So in GPPs, knowing that, are you going the exact opposite?
Yeah. So here's the thing is I'm building my lineups like as we speak right now, or reassessing my lineups. And it keeps bringing me to the same build, which I know everyone's going to hit, which is I have so much money to spend at all of my guard positions. And there's so many cheap options at power forward / center, because most of these guys are power forward and center eligible. You can play them pretty much anywhere. So you can fit 5K and below guys all there, and it gives you the money to play one of Trey, Dame, Luka with Devin Booker and Middleton or Bledsoe, or Devontae Graham or D-Russ. So it's clear if I just pay for one big guy, just one. It can be Drummond. It could be Jokic if you like Jokic. It could be, I talked about Marquise Chris. He's 6K. No one's going to play him. Just one big guy to pay up for. Your lineup's going to be different. Right there. Then
that's
start
it. And then you can go with all those other chalky big men and you don't care.
I'm not saying you have to do that in every single tournament lineup you make, but definitely I have 3 lineups. That's all I'm playing tonight. 3 lineups on DK. And for sure you're going to see Drummond in one of my lineups for sure. Yeah. All right. It's 100% going to happen. You'll probably see Chris in my lineup in one of my other lineups too. All right. But I'm only going to do it in one spot. And then from there, I'm just going to build and play the best plays possible. But I think that's a key factor in this. So as I go through it and we talk about point guard, just remember now there's unlimited amount. We can get anyone we want. So now it's just about picking which one you like the most. You guys know I love Trey. Trey's my favorite spend up. If I'm spending up at 10K at point guard, it's going to be Trey Young in my lineup. And then it's the D-Russ, Booker, Kyle Lowry's at 7,900. I think he's a perfect pivot. Bledsoe, I think ownership comes off of Bledsoe. We didn't even talk about this, but I think some ownership comes off of him with the D-Russ news, with Devontae Graham now being, in my opinion, a much better play with no Terry Rozier. I mean, the guy was already doing a ton anyways. Now Rozier's off the court. He's going to have the ball in his hands the whole game. For the 38 minutes he's on the floor, he's going to have the ball in his hands. This guy has to be a top play. But there's just so many good guards. You know what I mean? You got to play 3. So someone's going to be left off. So I think it's just about picking your favorite spots and maybe differentiating in one guard spot. Playing a Kyle Lowry, playing a Morant at 7,500, a Jamal Murray at 7K, Colin Sexton, who I talked about, at 6,200, Malik Beasley at 4,700. Doing something like that, playing one of those guys, and then just playing the other 2 of your favorite guards.
Okay. Means you said that you were going to circle back to FanDuel if you could, if anything's changed.
I'm struggling with this Biyombo thing because I'm trying to go back to this old injury report because when the last 2 games, I don't know if I'm missing something because we have him at 24, Bismack. Last 2 games that Zeller missed, Bismack played, it was November, it was 27th and 29th.
Is Zeller officially out, or is Biyombo just starting? Have you seen news that Zeller is officially out?
He's unlikely to play, and they're starting to be out Biyombo. So
unlikely.
He played 34 minutes in one game, and then he played 34 minutes in the next game, and we have him at 24. I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know if they've been playing, it's probably because they've been playing Hernan Gomez more lately, but he didn't even play in those games. So, this is tough for me to decipher. I think you play Biyombo personally. I would prioritize him as a play. I'm not going to tag him. I'm going to see if I'm going to get in our Slack and see if I'm missing something on this. But he played a lot. So, back to FanDuel. You don't, with the uncertainty on that, you don't need to pay up for him because I'm almost positive he's center. Let me just double check. I've got too many things going here. All right. He's center eligible, but just real quick, if I take him even to 30, like he is the best player on the slate. So, yeah, I guess the kicker is they're playing Minnesota and they're starting James Johnson. So yeah, I mean this one's tough for me. I think if I'm playing cash games, I'm probably playing Biyombo on DK. On FanDuel, I would not. That's my official statement.
Okay. Anything else you want to get into, or just we've got 10 minutes? I feel like if there's anything that comes up while we're taking the questions, feel free to break in and talk about a rant or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some of these one-on-one questions here. We're going to start with PG Rebels. Also, this is all going down in the Crunch Time Discord, by the way. PG Rebel says DK single entry, Whiteside Martin or Diallo Sexton?
Diallo Sexton.
Poto says DK Cash, Wancho and Young or Ibaka and Bledsoe?
I would do Ibaka Bledsoe on that one.
Does Wancho get the boot of all of the? I mean, there's so many power forward center good plays.
He was
Wancho
already
not
kind of
making the
below
cut.
them. He was below all those guys for me anyway. Still a good play in the vacuum, but he was below the Nances, the Diallos, the James Johnson.
Gotcha.
And now he's below Biyombo for me.
Okay. Terrence, FanDuel Cash. We're talking spend ups here. Please rank them. Trey, Luka, Dame.
Yeah, I talked about that. I don't. I think they're all right there. So, like, I think there's less risk, believe it or not, with Dame, because if you take Luka's minutes down 1 in our projections, Dame's the better play. I honestly still don't know. It's probably the builds I'm landing on are between one of those two guys. If you have the money, Trey's fine too. So I honestly don't have a strong lean on it. I don't want to say like play Dame over Luka because I still may play Luka. I think there's like more like hidden upside there, but he's been off for 2 weeks now. So I honestly don't have a strong feel.
Okay. Automatic, by the way, says Marvin Williams missed one of those 2 games that Bismack started without Zeller, if that changes things for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's not on the team either. So,
yeah, right.
So that proves my case in a weird way, I guess.
Yeah. Anaru, DK Cash, this is Dame or Trey, which, last one was FanDuel, I guess.
Yeah. I would probably go Trey on that one.
All right. We'll get to Nick's question here. FanDuel GPP, Chris Sabonis or Drummond Diallo?
I'd probably go Chris Sabonis for lower ownership.
Okay. JC says in a GPP, Jamal Murray or Donovan Mitchell?
Jamal Murray.
Raymond, FanDuel GPP, Booker and Gobbert or Middleton Whiteside?
Middleton Whiteside.
Supreme, DK Cash. All right. This is the general. What value in the power forward center do you prioritize? So can you list it real quick? I know you kind of went through it, but I guess your top 4 is what matters because there's.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the 2 guys I have tagged with James Johnson and Chick. Then I'll go Nance next. And you guys want another one? Probably. I mean, I think I'm stopping it there. I guess Reed would be my next one. I'm stopping it there because I think you need to use your center spot on Biyombo.
Okay.
And that game starts an hour after lock, by the way. So hopefully, since this is more of a DK discussion anyways with Biyombo, you have the late swap. So if for some reason they say, oh, wait, Zeller is playing or he is available, then you just move off of Biyombo. You have that's the same game as the Timberwolves. So you have cheap options in the Timberwolves if you need to pivot.
Okay. Let's see. Hey, JSU, FanDuel tourney, last piece. Beasley v. Clarkson with Conley out.
Beasley. I'd probably go Beasley.
Okay. PJ Washington or Larry Nance, DK Cash?
Nance.
It's Chris Kamen, my pants says FanDuel GPP, is James Johnson going to kill Jay Crowder's minutes? He's been crushing. Also, is Drummond and Nance on the same team? Is that too risky?
James Johnson is on Minnesota now. Jay Crowder's on Miami.
Well, then he's not going to kill his minutes, is he?
He's not going to kill his minutes.
No.
What Is that it?
Drummond and Nance on the same team. Are you worried about
Absolutely.
playing Nance?
No. Both
Oh,
these
okay.
guys are high per minute guys against Atlanta. They could easily both get there at the price Nance is. I think you can play them both together.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to Supreme, DK Cash, Russell and Bridges, or Graham and Oubre. Parentheses, I already have Booker and Diallo.
Can you ask that again if that's me?
Yeah, DK Cash, Russell and Bridges, or Graham and Oubre. P.S. I already have Booker and Diallo.
I would do the first one.
Okay. Manny taking over. FanDuel, one lineup. Go up from Graham to D'Lo and move Barnes down to Porter.
Was that me?
Sure.
What was the question?
It was FanDuel. I've got one lineup. Do I go up from Graham to D'Lo and move Barnes down to Porter?
Yes.
Okay. This is JSU. Would you stack more than one Charlotte player in your lineup?
Absolutely. I talked about Miles Bridges. I like him a lot. He's some guy I'm falling into. It's between him and Draymond for me, back and forth. But I think I'm going to have either one of Miles and two of Draymond, or two of Miles and one of Draymond. But those are the two small forwards I'm landing between right now.
Okay, excellent.
Can I hop in real quick?
Yes, please.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at these game logs from back when Zeller was last out, and both of the games were against Detroit. So if they just kept him out there to play Drummond the whole time, maybe that's why his minutes were so high. So, I don't know. This is all just projecting minutes. If you put him at 30, he's the best play on the slate. So, I think it's worth kind of risking mid 20s to high 20s that he's a really good play. I like him a lot. So,
okay. Let's see. Roger says FanDuel single entry, Wancho or Porter Jr.?
That's a tough one. I'd probably go. Wait, isn't Michael Porter Jr.? He's out,
Okay.
right?
I mean, it's Kevin Porter Jr.
Kevin Porter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wancho for sure. Sorry.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. TJ Roto, DK GPP, Middleton or Randall?
Randall.
You okay with Wiggy to fill in the small forward slot in a DK GPP?
Yes.
Little last piece with Wiggy. All right. It's Tyler Jackson says DK Cash, Dame and Porter Jr. or Graham and Oubre?
Graham and Oubre.
Generic says FanDuel Cash, you like Elf in a great matchup with Siakam versus Trey and Bridges?
No, not in cash. No way.
Okay. FanDuel Cash is 4 Suns too many.
No.
Akimbro, DK Cash, Middleton Nance or Ibaka Oubre?
Middleton Nance.
G. Swenson, in a GPP DK, you want Dedmon instead of Diallo in a lineup with Drummond and Trey?
Dedmon instead of Diallo. Yes, absolutely.
Jay Beasy says, yo, you guys are forgetting Willie Hernangomez. No, we've talked about Hernangomez. So I wouldn't say we're
Means you
forgetting
brought
it.
him up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I brought him up as just he didn't even play one of the games that Diller was out earlier in the year, and he was healthy. So I don't know. I'm apparently way too high on Bismack Biyombo, so take that for what it's worth.
Okay. T Manis, FanDuel Cash, Whiteside, Middleton, or Gobert, Booker?
Yeah, that is I think probably the most popular, or not popular, but biggest decision point. I'm doing the Middleton Whiteside one. I think it's just a better play.
Less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2. Let's hit a little lightning round. DK Cash, Trey Whiteside, or Lillard Randall?
Trey Whiteside.
Joe Traff says DK GPP, you all right with Caleb Martin with so few options at small forward?
Yeah, I guess if you need a punt.
Oh, that was sorry.
If you need a punt, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jeps, FanDuel GPP. This is a 3v3. Siakam, Chris, Nas, or Bridges, Johnson, Gobert?
Bridges, Johnson, Gobert.
Okay. Nick says FanDuel GPP. I've got 5K at small forward. Who do I play? JSU, you help him out. I am going to find a cash question for Meansy.
You said FanDuel, right?
I did.
Yep.
There.
Joe Ingles.
Okay, great, because there was only GPP questions. Zavi Brady says, GPP birthday narrative once removed. Today is Larry Nance Sr. No, okay, we're moving on. FanDuel GPP, Nance or Johnson?
Nance, it's his dad's birthday, right?
Yeah, there you go. YouTube question, Beasley and Ursan or RJ Barrett and Diallo in a DK GPP?
Beasley Ursan.
YouTube question, what are your thoughts on Joe Harris? Is that a no-go?
No go for me.
Crossover King, JSU, cheap GPP plays. Which do you like more? Bridges, Chris, or Nance?
Bridges, Chris, or Nance? Oh, that's tough. For GPPs, I really like Bridges and Chris. That's tough between the two. Chris, you're going to get under 1%. Bridges will be a little higher than that. So one of those two guys.
That's about
okay. Lock. That's just about lock. Don't go anywhere. We're still going to take some questions. We'll play Sneaky or Stupid. We'll play Gladiator, thumbs up, thumbs down. I'll bury my head in my hands because I did too much, JSU. I've been riding this heater and I put in like 10 different teams. And instead of like, if I just do what you do and just had like 3 or 4.
You played 10 teams?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I played 7. Yeah, I played 7
teams. Wow, I
Ross got the hit.
I thought you were like a 1 or 2 lineup guy.
I was, and then I kept winning. So now this whole season's been treating me really well. So
why don't you just keep playing 1 or 2 and go up a price level?
That's what I don't understand.
Then you could win more money.
Bumped the money up a little bit.
No, that is probably what I should have done, because then I could have had at least one team I felt good about. And then as all this news broke, I was just blowing up teams and plugging in. I have no idea what I have. I have no idea.
Well, I wish I could tell you that on those nights are the nights that I feel terrible about my lineups, or the nights I do well. Yeah. That is not true. At least not for me anyways.
Okay.
Some people I've heard that from, like on those nights, they feel like their lineup's awful and then they win. But I don't know. I never am like that. I always have like, whenever I win, I always have this like, I always have like a good feel like I have a good feel on the slate on those nights when I do well.
Yeah.
It's very weird. And every single of those days, I always contemplate playing. It's like on those days when you're like, should I play today? Right. And then you're like, yes, I have to play.
And then you play and get crushed.
And then you play. Yeah.
I think I need an all-star break. I was like, I feel like that was a bad show by me. I was wishy-washy. I was not taking stands. I was horseshit. I need an all-star break.
Well, you've only got one more show to do. You got tomorrow's show, and then you do get an all-star.
Well, I just recommended Marquise Chris, so I think I might need like a week off after this.
Yeah, I think after the show, we all deserve the all-star break here. We got a few questions coming in. One of them is a Sneaky or Stupid. When balanced build, everyone going stars and scrubs. I don't know, but just thinking you can fit Morant, McCollum, Oubre, Bridges, Chris, Draymond all together. Any interest in that, JSU? DK GPP. So basically, you went balanced. I get it. There's all this cheap value. So then people are paying up for all the same guys. So he went Morant, McCollum, Oubre, Bridges, Chris, Draymond, all in the middle.
100%. Like that's a build that's going to be very, very low owned. Even if some of those guys might have some decent ownership, you're going to get some low owned guys in there like Morant and McCollum just because of the build. So I like it for sure.
Let's see. Jags for Life says Desmond 5%. What happened? Is that higher?
What happened was all of the news. The news broke and everyone started paying down from Biyombo and Naz Reid and James Johnson. It's too many guys. You know what I mean? So Dedmon was one of those guys. I'm telling you, like some of the like I was talking about Bledsoe, like some of these guys that were supposed to be like good plays and decently owned, the ownership's coming off of some of those guys. They have to.
Yeah. Let's see. Boucher says PJ Washington okay and DK Cash.
Yeah, for sure.
CT Foley, DK single entry. Hey, by the way, YouTube people, I hope you enjoyed the show, despite Meansy claiming he was trash. I didn't feel that way. But apparently it's usually even better than that. So go ahead, sign up for Rotogrinders Premium, and then you get the show.
Setting the bar low.
7 days a week. And this is as bad as he gets. This is as bad as it gets for him.
Means
Thank you,
if it helps, Yappy in chat just said that I'm his hero, but you're even a bigger hero to him. So
Oh, wow.
if that helps, you know what I mean?
That helps a little bit. Thanks. I appreciate that, Yappy.
Yeah.
All right. Take a few more of these QQs here. CT Foley says DK single entry, Whiteside, Caleb Martin, or Oubre Wancho.
Oubre Wancho.
Okay. Sit down, son. Oh, sorry.
I just want to make some clear in chat. I am not backing off my Chris take. I'm still very strong on Marquise Chris.
You gotta stick with
I'm
it.
just saying I might need a break after the March. Yeah, depending on how it goes. I need this all-star break too. That's all we were talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. Sneaky or stupid from Sit Down, son. I played Hoyter in DK Cash and GPPs. Was that sneaky or was that stupid? Cash, I think I know the answer.
Not a fan of it over on Cash, yeah.
Good. GPP, Hoyter?
I don't mind it just because of the Cavs being so bad at defending the guard. It's just tough when Trey's there because Trey just does so much. He's just he just takes so many shots.
He's 6'2" on DK. That's hefty.
Here's the other thing too, like with Trey, it'll be interesting because like with Drummond down low and stuff like that, but Trey's just so good at when he gets into the lane, he's so good at just shooting the floater or giving it to the big. He doesn't need to kick it out for a three a lot of times because it's either floater or pass for a layup or dunk to Collins or Deadman or whoever he's rolling to, but maybe with Drummond he needs to pass it out. But that's the problem with Trey and the guards around him is the guards he doesn't get to option three on the pick and rolls in the plays. It's either floater or pass to the big. It's amazing because his touch is amazing over 6'10" guys, but that's one of the reasons why Herter doesn't have bigger games. He could do it if he got the ball enough. He just doesn't get.
All right. Boucher says, hey, are we keeping Bismack at the util if Zeller plays?
Oh, no. Take Biombo out. You got to have a 2v2 ready, most likely. Yeah. I mean, you can leave 300 and pivot to Naz Reid in the same game.
Yeah. Oh, right. Depot or Beasley in a DK GPP?
Beasley.
Bazinga says Trey Young was projected for 7% and he is 35%. To be fair, you may have looked at a projection before all kinds of things blew up and all this value opened up and then everyone started clicking, might as well pay up at guard. So,
yeah, I mean,
I think that is a hefty ownership.
I think that projection was maybe closer to 15%, but once that news broke, everyone just started paying up.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Everyone just started paying up for the guards.
I mean, I see him at 20. I see him at 20% as of 6:52 Eastern.
Yeah. Let me look. I'm looking right now.
I'm sure as
FanDuel, sorry.
More and more value opened up, more and more we were jacking up the ownership, I'm sure. By the way,
I'm at 45 and this is the big contest on DK, the Heartbreaker or whatever it is, the $1,500 one. He's 45% in that one.
Making a mistake. Did everyone forget how good Luka is? Luka King? Fools. Trey over Luka. Please. TMA says JSU knows a lot about basketball. It's true. Yes, we are all in agreement.
I watch it every night, literally.
Generic says, what's the difference between Reed on the bench and Biz starting?
I don't know how to accurately answer that question.
I don't know. I don't fully understand it. Yeisman says...
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeisman says, sneaky or stupid. I'm in a DK GPP and failed to edit out Deadman before lock.
Failed to edit out Deadman before lock.
Yeah,
He's a good play in a vacuum. Man. He's fine. He's been playing like high 20s. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it was initially stupid, but it became sneaky because it was okay, right?
Yeah,
it was
100%.
dumb that you forgot, but. DK Cash question for you, and then we'll get out of here. We'll take 3 more questions. DK Cash, Bledsoe and Oubre or Whiteside LeVert?
That's that again?
Bledsoe, Oubre, or Whiteside and LeVert?
Slightly the Bledsoe Oubre one.
K. Clifford says, does it make sense to just leave like 1K of salary on DK to have a different lineup?
Man, on this slate, I mean, it's a lot to leave on the table.
Right. You can just have a different lineup by playing someone who's not chalky and still spending the money, right?
Yeah, all you got to do is change up the lineup build a little bit, like we talked about. That's really it. And Malik Monk, Meansy, we didn't even talk about him, but like he's a very volatile. I know he's 4,700. I'm sure people might see him and he gets like a bump or something like that. I don't know about you for cash, but like I think he's definitely a GPP play because he's just a volatile shooter.
And they ride him, and they usually it's also one of those things where like his playing time goes along with how well he's shooting or playing. So like he's either going to be really bad or really good. There's almost no in between. Yeah. Right.
So if he's scoring and he's hitting his shots, he'll stay out there pretty much. But if he's off, then he's probably not going to play more than 25 minutes. So he could see 30, right? 32, 33 with no Rozier, but he might see 25. So I don't think he's a terrible play though. I just don't think you put him up with I think Bridges, Graham, Biyombo are the 3 best plays. I think he would be 4, maybe 5. I don't know. Okay. What about you, Meansy? I mean,
I don't know. I'm still tilting over Biyombo because I'm gonna be so mad when he plays 30 minutes and scores 29 DK points, and I didn't take a big enough stand on him. I didn't play DK. I just played FanDuel.
Well, I played him because of you.
Oh, great! Thanks.
We all did, Means. We all did. We're going down together.
Even at even at 24 minutes, he's the second best per dollar play on our projections. So just imagine if they go upper 20s. So tilted.
Okay, but you're tilted. You said to do it, and now you're tilted that if it goes really well, I
don't know. I mean, I feel like I didn't. I feel like I didn't take a big enough stand. I'm also the only one saying this. I feel like
I see.
The minutes are low.
You're on an island.
I don't know. Yeah. That's why I'm tilting, I guess.
I get it. All right. We'll take a few more questions. I said 3 questions, then I took 3. We'll take 3 more from now. Crossover King JSU is playing Siakam tonight. Is anyone playing Siakam, and does he have enough upside?
Siakam's ownership just got much lower after all the news. So, for one, I think he's actually a really good play. Like I was talking about, finding one person to kind of fit in at the power forward center spot. There you go. That's one guy who you could take. I played Drummond, but he's definitely someone you could go with. I like the matchup too against Brooklyn. They're going to push the pace. Siakam gets a ton of steals and blocks. It's a really solid matchup. Serge coming back obviously doesn't help him, but it doesn't hurt him that much. He's still going to play big minutes.
All right, we'll go to Neptune, DKGPP, Bledsoe, Washington, or Whiteside, Hernan Gomez.
I'm going to go Bledsoe, Washington.
And then, let's see. It's Tyler Jackson, Beasley, Ibaka, Bledsoe, tongue twister, or Booker, Biyombo, Graham. We'll call it DK Cash.
Yeah, those 2, I do the first one.
Ejac W, DK single entry. This is a 2v2. Single entry GPP. Beasley, Middleton, or Booker and Phoenix Bridges. I already have Diallo and Russell.
Beasley, that was me, right?
Yeah. Beasley, Middleton, or Booker and Phoenix Bridges? I already have Diallo and Russell.
Beasley, Middleton.
Okay, final question. 5,800 or below on DK at forward, making you work for the last one. Then we get on out of here. GPP at the forward spot.
5,800.
5,800 or below.
At forward. I'd probably play. God, I'd probably play. I hate that. I hate that spot. I don't like it. Rui, did that game already start?
No.
Oh no, it didn't. Washington and New York. Rui at 5,100.
Okay. Last question from YouTube, from Chuck Mangione. Bledsoe, Bridges, or Middleton, Washington?
Is that me?
Sure, didn't say. Bledsoe, Bridges, Middleton, Washington.
I would go Bledsoe, Bridges.
Okay, excellent. Guess what, guys? You both did an excellent job. Meansy, don't be so hard on yourself. You killed it.
Nope.
JSU, good work as always. JSU, I'm not going to see you for a long time. The people won't see you for a long time because you're not on tomorrow's show. Say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people. Have a good All-Star break. Play a ton of golf. My guy Noto. Everyone should have watched the PGA show yesterday, but if you didn't, I think it's still free, right, for everyone. So make sure you watch it. Show's awesome. Every week they crush it. And I literally just tail those three guys. So Noto, SDL, Drew, they're the best out there. So check out the golf stuff,
Okay, that's good advice. Means I'm going to let you say goodbye to the people as well.
No, I don't want to. I'll see everybody tomorrow. I don't want to say bye.
That's fine.
I don't deserve to converse with the people.
Be out,
Hey, everybody, we appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for hanging out with us all week. Meansy and I are going to catch you tomorrow. Late show, Quiet Storm edition. So tune in. We are going to catch you tomorrow. You have been